Going backcountry skiing in Prince William Sound can be daunting because of how large and vast the terrain is and the added complexity of the ocean. However, the experience becomes a lot easier if you know where to go and how to do it. We are headed out to Goose Bay and Culross Passage to show you a safe place to beach your boat, where to skin up, and ski down.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Let's roll. First, we got to introduce the crew. We have Nina and Zoe back home in Alaska after a year in college. Then there's Ryder, who hopefully one day will go to college. Eugene, we just call him the captain, and then there's me, Owen. Before we head out skiing, we have to drop the shrimp pots because the only thing better than backcountry skiing in Prince William Sound is pulling up a couple of pots of shrimp when you're done. We are dropping our pots in Po Bay inside Passage Canal. We drop these pots in about 400 feet of water on the outside edge of the bay. There are a couple of things to remember when backcountry skiing. First is adequate avalanche training. The Alaska Avalanche School is a great resource, and I will leave a link to their website in the description below. Next, you have to have a beacon, shovel, and probe. You can't go backcountry skiing without them. Last week, Ryder forgot his beacon and had to stay on the boat as a result and didn't get to go skiing. Hopefully you don't make that mistake more than once. We start out in Whittier, and despite what some say, it's always prettier in Whittier. We head east through Passage Canal. We dropped our shrimp pots in Po Bay. Decision Point at the end of Passage Canal is your final spot to make sure it's still a good idea to go out and that you still have good seas. Our final destination is Goose Bay on Culross Island. The mountain we will be skiing is on the southeast side of the bay. Enter Culross Passage from its north entrance. It is almost always calm in Culross Passage. The calm waters of Culross Passage make it easier to navigate, anchor, and beach your boat for backcountry skiing. As you head from north to south in Culross Passage, you will enter the first set of narrows. It is possible to take either the east or west channel, but the west channel is larger and deeper. There are some large reefs preceding the island on the north end. It is easy to navigate them as long as you stay mid-channel with your boat. The west channel registers more than 40 feet of water. Immediately after the island, you must take an abrupt turn to miss a submerged rock that will be in your path. The submerged rock is identified on your navigation charts by a red or black asterisk, but don't be fooled by the small, benign-looking symbol on the marine charts. Submerged rocks like this can have catastrophic consequences. The second set of narrows is easier to navigate and only requires you to stay mid-channel between the island and the east shore. You should be registering more than 30 feet of water as you transit the second narrows. After the second narrows, Culross Passage opens up with Long Bay off to the west and Goose Bay to the east, which will be on the left-hand side. Goose Bay is our final destination, and the east shore of Goose Bay is where we will beach our boat and offload our crew and gear. There's a small point of land at the inlet to Goose Bay where the shoreline is slightly steeper than further up the bay. We have found that this is a good location to beach the boat because the slightly steeper shoreline makes it safer to beach and not foul your prop. Taxi right over here. An alternative to beaching the boat and offloading the gear is to set anchor first and then load the gear and your crew into a dinghy and bring the dinghy into shore. Most people tend to anchor first and use the dinghy. We are in flat, calm waters and in a protected bay, so we had Ryder go anchor the boat and ride the paddleboard back to the shore. It's good to be young. We anchored the boat in about 70 feet of water near the inlet of Goose Bay. Goose Bay is a beautiful and very protected bay. The bay heads north into Culross Island. There is a Forest Service cabin you can rent out on the east side of the bay. If you rent out the cabin, you can access the peak directly from the cabin. I've superimposed a topographical map showing the route we took up the mountain. I need to rotate the map to align it with what we are seeing from the drone picture. That right there will just about do it. In the picture, you can see our boat anchored at the inlet of Goose Bay. Goose Bay is off to the left-hand side, and off the screen of this picture, the boat's anchored around this area, again in the inlet of Goose Bay, and Goose Bay off to the left-hand side. The route we took up is along the west-facing slope of the mountain. The first peak you'll encounter is approximately 1,500 feet. There are a couple of things to take note when planning this route. First, there's a large cirque with steep headwalls on both the right and left side of the mountain that we will be skinning up, and it correlates with the south and north sides of the mountain. In the picture, you can see the steep headwall here and the cirque below it. The steep headwall isn't fully visible on the north side of the mountain, but it's in this general area, and again with some steep headwalls. It is possible to access this peak from the Goose Bay cabin. The Goose Bay cabin is off the screen to the left-hand side, and again, it's located near the head of Goose Bay. The route we took up is relatively straightforward. The first section of the route I would consider from the water to the top of the tree line. Top of the tree line is at the first ridge, or the top of the first ridge you're going to encounter. The trees are well spread out and straightforward to ski around, but beware of deep tree wells and abrupt drop-offs. Once at the top of the peak, it's possible to traverse the entire ridge line. The taller peak you see over here is called Goose Peak. In the past, I've traversed this ridge line, and it's a wonderful route to take. And one of the benefits of taking this route is you get amazing views of Hidden Bay and Perry Island. This drone footage shows the rough approximation of the route we took up to the peak. Notice how the trees are spread out enough to make skiing around them very manageable. But there are definitely some massive tree wells, so stay clear of those. You might notice a large cornice at the peak of the mountain. It is possible to skin around the cornice to get to the peak and access to the ridgeline. We did that on our last trip, but on this trip we stayed below the cornice. The next step is often overlooked, but it can be challenging getting from the beach to up on top of the snowpack. There's so much snow in Prince William Sound that the snowpack can be 20 vertical feet straight up from the beach. Some people talk about bringing a ladder to climb onto the snowpack. We have found that we only need a small backcountry shovel, and with a little work you can shovel out stairs and footholds to climb up onto the snowpack. Before you take the skins off and point those skis downhill, you definitely need to take a minute and soak in the experience and take a few pictures. It is a priceless opportunity to get to climb a peak in Prince William Sound. You never know if you will ever get the opportunity to come back and do this again. We are grateful for the land we live in. We hope that as many people as possible can come out and enjoy this beautiful area. It is truly amazing. The last thing left to do is to climb off the snowpack and have Ryder go get the boat for us.
Beaching the boat is not an easy process and can be very stressful. You definitely want at least one other person who is very engaged helping you beach a boat. Ryder is new at this and came into the beach a little sideways. If the stern of the boat is rotated around toward the beach, you're going to risk getting your prop fouled on the ground. There are no winds today, but if you ever try and beach your boat with a crosswind, you will quickly find out how hard it is and how dangerous it can be.
Dude, that's freaking sick, man. It's pretty sick, look. See how I'll do this?